Oh hey, welcome back. Sorry if I startled you, I've just been waiting for you here ever since the previous video. Which you did watch, right? We last left off after bringing back the water chip to our vault and finally saving Tandy from those pesky raiders. Our vault overseer handed us a new task of figuring out where all these mutants on the surface are coming from. And so, we now head off to explore the hub and look for any clues we could find. Remember this bald man? What a freak. He wanted me to look into the recent disappearances of the trader caravans. Word on the street is they've been snuffed out by some Deathclaws. He told me he knows a gal by the name of Beth, who might know a thing or two about Deathclaws. Beth tells me she knows a guy named Harold in Old Town who might know a thing or two about Deathclaws, and guess what? Harold also tells me he knows a guy who might know a thing or two about Deathclaws. Himself.
That would be my big fat ass.
So I talked to Harold, who's somehow the least scariest person I've seen so far in this game. He tells me a bit about his life story. Harold used to be a trader. He mentions him and his associates were always under attack from all sorts of folk, especially mutants. I inquire about any information he may have on the mutants and get told that a lot of the mutants seem to be coming from an old military base somewhere northwest. Now a smart person at this point might, like try to write this down or remember it or something. I, however, am not a smart person. But I'm sure this little detail won't come into play later on. In regards to the Deathclaws, he tells me they're very dangerous and that I should, in his words, whack them on the head. Well, there go my plans of jacking them off to death. Thanks. After Harold's great insights, which didn't help for shit, I head out. Right outside of the house stands a man by the name of Uncle Slappy, but don't let his silly little name fool you though. Uncle Slappy, or as he's known legally, Robert Slapperson, is a runaway convict who's been convicted of 3 accounts of child molestation, 1 account of armed robbery, and 7 accounts of, and I quote, being a silly little goose. He invites me to his Deathclaw cave, which I get the feeling is some sort of euphemism, but I accept nonetheless. As I started fighting the Deathclaw, I ran into a bit of an issue though. For some reason I couldn't use my rifle, which was my primary source of damage. This thing was a beast, and it did not help that Ian was seemingly exacting his revenge on me for that time that I accidentally turned him into minced meat. Whoops. So I go back to safety to try to figure out why my rifle isn't working. I thought at first it may be a bug, but realized that's not the case after a couple of reloads seemingly doing nothing. Turns out you can break your limbs in this game. If you, for example, break your arm, then you can no longer use any two-handed weapons until you fix that arm. That's a really cool system that I did not expect to see in a 1997 RPG. I go back this time with both arms functional, which didn't really matter because I only used my deagle in the end, and after a close call and an insane crit, we finally bring it down. At the end of the cave lies a dying mutant, who supplies me with something called a holodisc, and when prompted with the question of where he came from, he said from the northwest. This is the second time I hear mentions of the mutants coming from the northwest, and it's also the second time that I completely ignore it and forget about it. What's that supposed to mean? I return to the bald man and inform him on my findings that the caravan people weren't actually attacked by a Deathclaw, but were actually captured and taken prisoner by mutants, which I'm not entirely sure how my character got that information. The mutant I talked to was barely able to string 3 words together, but sure. Bald man goes to talk to his committee, I collect my reward, and this other dude tells me about how some faction called the Brotherhood might be able to help me out with reading this holodisc. I have no interest in anything else going on in the hub, so onto the Brotherhood I go, I guess. The Brotherhood of Steel is, according to my boy over here, a collective who dedicate their lives to the preservation of technology such as this power armor from the Great War and sacrificing puppies. Wait, scratch that. That was just fake news propagated by the neurotic liberal media. He says if I'm interested in such things, I am free to join the Brotherhood, just gotta go talk to Cabot to enlist. I tell Cabbage I'm looking to join the Brotherhood. His to infinity and beyond looking ass heads down to talk to the Elder and comes back to tell me that to become an initiate, I must first do a quest. This quest involves going to some place called The Glow, which there's absolutely nothing ominous about that name whatsoever, and bringing something back to prove I was there. He also mentions that it's kind of radioactive, but I just assumed he's being overdramatic. Boy howdy was that a mistake. On the way there I stumbled upon a group of hostile Ians, which is quite the problem because I kept losing track of my Ian, and I was afraid of repeating what the history books call the minced meat Ian incident of 07. We get to the region and find this enormous hole in the ground. Whoa, didn't know your mom was in this game. There's no obvious way to get into the hole, but this ain't my first rodeo. After Vault 15, I'm always prepared. I use the rope, which I had other plans for, and go down the hole. Huh, what's with all these funny little messages? I wonder what they mean. I'm sure it's nothing. I explore the area and do a bit of looting while Ian very diligently spots a trap and then defuses it. On this old power soup, I find another holodisc and some yellow card. I'm assuming one of these is the object I was meant to bring back. I do a bit more exploring, try to get this elevator working, get zapped several times, give up, and go back to the Brotherhood. Huh, I guess Cabbage wasn't joking about the radiation. I go back in and do everything again. This time, I make sure to disarm the trap, and before leaving the region, I use 2 rataways, which each reduce my radiation levels by 25 points. Surely that should be enough, right? Now, I'm not exactly sure how much radiation points I was getting here, but after doing some research, I concluded that it was a lot. Who would have thunk that going through a place called The Glow was dangerous? It's clear I'm gonna need more Radaway, so I make my way back to the hub. I go to the plug and buy a bunch of Radaway, which, as shown previously, reduces radiation levels, and more importantly, Rad-X, which increases your resistance to radiation in the first place. This time I take a bunch of Rad-X before entering, bringing up my Rad resistance to 92%, essentially rendering me a complete auraless fucking loser. We do our deeds once more, and as is tradition, one of us steps on a trap. Ian, you better not fucking walk on the trap, you dumb son of a— Back at the surface, I take some Radaway, check my radiation levels, and once I was sure everything was okay, we finally get out of this wretched place. I went back to the hub first to sell all my spoils, and at this point I discovered an exploit for storage. So up until this point, whenever I had a full inventory, I would just barter with Ian and give him all the shit I didn't immediately need, as I didn't know how to throw things away, and Ian seemed to have a bag of holding in his pocket. Turns out you can just steal things from Ian with a 100% success rate, meaning you can just loot everything, give it to Ian, then take it all back and sell it once you're in town. So I spent around 30 minutes selling everything that Ian had been carrying in his inventory for the past however long it's been. Poor guy must have horrible back pain now. After all my selling, I am now rich. Too bad I don't really need money moving forward. This would have been great to know about earlier. I go back to Buzz Lightyear, who finally lets me into the Brotherhood. I get greeted by a woman who makes sure to tell me that even though it's called the Brotherhood, they have plenty of women in power and have equal rights. Oh great, they made Fallout woke now. What's next? A Fallout show adaptation with a female lead? Let's not get ridiculous. I say we replace all women in the world with big, buff, oiled up, shirtless men. Ooh. I look around and I find Maxon, the man who told Cabbage to send me on my initiation mission. He believes there's an army of mutants up north who are plotting an attack, but the other elders don't want to act until they have hard proof of it, so he asks me to scout north near the mountains and look for the base. But before going out, I explore the area more and stumble upon this little workshop area. In it is a guy currently trying to fix up an old power suit which the Brotherhood deemed not up to spec and will be disposed of. If I can get him this one part called a systolic motivator, he'll show me how to fix it up and let me have it. There are 2 places I can get the systolic motivator from. Either from Michael, the supply room guy, but I would have to find some way to convince him, or steal it from the head paladin Rhombus's room. That option is a bit of a problem though, as this Rhombus fella is quite the square. The punchline here is geometry. I couldn't find an opportunity to steal it as he was always just lurking about in his room, so I'll just go look for the military base for now. Here's a fun little puzzle we can do together. The Brotherhood is right here, right? Maxon tells me the military base is up north in the mountains. That means that the location should be somewhere around here maybe, right? No, dumbass. Clearly the mutant base is right here, which is northwest of the Brotherhood, and it's nowhere near any mountains from what I see. Remember how I was told on 2 separate occasions that the mutant base is somewhere in the northwest? Yeah. Look, I know it's my fault for not paying enough attention, and in general, most of the stripes I had with this game stemmed from that lack of attentiveness. I will make sure that when I'm playing the next games, I will be a lot more attentive and I'll probably even be taking notes. But I'm still left with a question here. Why did Maxon tell me to go north instead of northwest? Was this like a writing error? It just seems like an oversight to me. Safe to say, after looking for too goddamn long, I was unable to find it. I came back to Maxon for help, praying to any and all gods that he doesn't have Fallout NPC amnesia syndrome.
Hell if I know.
Fuck you. I suddenly remembered that I originally came to the Brotherhood so they can show me how to use the holodisc. So I head to Vri, the head scribe in all things to do with technology, and I'm elated to see a dialogue option asking about the holodisc. This has to be it. I just know it.
Use your Pip-Boy 2000 to read the discs. Insert the disc into the reader. If you have the proper computer skills, you should be able to scan the data.
But how? Remember earlier when I said this? That was the wrong... So remember earlier when I said this? Here's the thing. At this point, I didn't quite understand how the inventory functionalities worked. In fact, I didn't up until nearly the end of the game. No, I just don't understand why you were filming me in the bathroom, you creep. So this is where I finally learned how to use the inventory system. I dug around and found that if you press F1, you open up this information page. This was a godsend. So I finally figure out that all I have to do is use the use action on them, which downloads them to my Pip-Boy where I can finally read it. Finally, I'm gonna learn where that damn military base is. Wait, this is all just lore? I gave up and just searched it up. Frustrated with my own stupidity, I head toward the northwest and, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm so tired of these damn rat encounter. I don't think those are rats. I tried to fight them, but they absolutely shredded me into pieces. Ain't no way I make it past them without power armor. Issue is, I already tried to get the systolic motivator earlier from Michael by asking kindly, and honestly I'm not sure why, but that didn't work. Unfortunately, it also locks you out of being able to try asking for it again, and I didn't have a recent load I can reset to. Pausing for a moment, I enter my mind palace, and utilizing my massive intellect, I began searching for solutions to this predicament. Hey guys, welcome to this video where I'll show you how to find the power armor. I found out that there's actually a third way of getting power armor as a reward from a mission given to you by a man named Talus. But for some reason, I was never given the dialogue options to even inform me about it. Basically, there's this Brotherhood initiate who got captured by some goons in the hub. If you can save him and bring him back to the Brotherhood, then Talus rewards you some power armor. Luckily for me, you don't even need to accept the mission. You can just do it without ever having entered the Brotherhood. So I quickly find the initiate, kill the goons in the building, struggle to lockpick the door to the room the initiate is imprisoned in, once again learn a basic mechanic which I frankly should have found out at the beginning of the game. Only now, after 12 hours, have I discovered the lockpick kit that I had in my inventory is an active item that when used increases my lockpicking chances by 20%. I thought it was a passive item that just allowed me to lockpick. Look, I love games that don't hold your hand, but for the love of God, can you at least every now and again just hold on to my pinky for a second or two? That's all I'm asking for. Is that so much to ask for? Anyways, I finally get my armor and go back to the military base. This time, I was prepared to fucking wreck these damn mutants. Ian, on the other hand, I reload the game and this time make it without any encounters on the way. Finally, I make it to the Mariposa military base. Which, by the way, did you know that Mariposa means butterfly in Spanish? Yeah, this white boy knows a thing or two about Espanol. Technically, all I needed to do was scout it out and return to the Brotherhood, but honestly, I just wanted to move shit along. We were able to take out all the guards outside first try. Moving forward, I needed to have a slight change of strategy though. The issue is that even if you are max level and have all the best gear in the game, you could still easily be one-shot by a crit, especially if you're kinda close to these guys with Gatling guns. I was gonna run back to the Brotherhood to get some backup and maybe look for weapon upgrades, but after being ambushed on the way and being obliterated again, I said fuck it, I'll just brute force it. I decided to take a laser rifle from one of the guys I killed outside the base. Up until now, I wasn't able to use most laser weapons I found since they required a higher strength score. Luckily, this power suit increased my strength score just enough, but since I didn't use laser weapons up until this moment, my laser gun skill was very low, but it was gonna be good enough for now. I go back in, instantly get attacked, but somehow take 0 damage. I grab my distance and start sniping the assholes from afar where they have a lower chance of one-shotting me. This works extremely well as I shoot a guy in half on the first shot. Unfortunately, I can't say it went too well for Ian, but honestly, at this point, I just wanted to make progress and it was clear he wouldn't make it through. I'm sorry, Ian. We are gathered here today to remember a great man. Ian, last name. There are many words that could be used to describe Ian. Brave, strong, loyal, kind-hearted, but I'm sure all of you already knew that. Ian and I spent many special moments in the past couple of months. I remember fondly all those times we fought anything and everything together, from rats to super mutants, and how we would laugh it off in relief after the adrenaline finally wore off. We lost a great man today. May he rest in peace. We will now listen to the chipmunk version of Party Rockers by LMFAO as requested by Ian in his will.
I technically can load the game a minute back and tell Ian to stay outside for now. It's not like I made that much progress. I could, but I won't. The military base has two main obstacles: the shitloads of mutants and these barriers. The red ones you can walk through, but take damage every time you do. The yellow ones, on the other hand, entirely block you from passing. There are some computers which I assumed had to do something with the barriers, so I head that way and fight the mutant who's standing guard there.
Is that a rocket launcher? Nice.
I utilize my elite hacking skills to fail breaking into their force field systems. It says that I turned half of them off, but I swear nothing changed.
The next 30 minutes is just fighting enemies, so here are some highlights. I get one-shotted once again. Did I mention the crit system in this game is kind of bullshit? I deploy my two secret tactics of letting them kill each other and hiding behind a corner. I kill a bunch of cute little robots, go downstairs, and wouldn't you know it, there are more mutants here. Shocker, I know. Honestly, the mutants just kind of killed themselves in this entire sequence of the game because they lacked the understanding that when shoot far thing, if close thing is in front of far thing, close thing take a da boom boom.
It's at this point that my Brian was able to form its first thought, realizing that even though opening your inventory during combat takes action points, actually doing things in the inventory doesn't. Meaning, I can just heal as much as I want, reload my guns, eat some food, read a magazine, all while the enemy will wait patiently.
I'll be right with you.
And all that for 4 action points. Compare that to how I used to heal, where I would open up my inventory, put a stim pack in my hand, and then use the stim pack. That's a total of 6 action points, which leaves me with 4. Not much I can really do with that, and all I get from it is a slight heal. Anyways, I take care of some of the mutants, loot, make sure to save the game before I continue. I think I pressed the wrong button. I kill and loot all over again, and this time, save. Good thing I did, because I instantly get blown into pieces. Heh, just kidding, bozos, that was actually my shadow clone jutsu. I try again and once again get blown into pieces. Seems I'll need to use my super secret hiding jutsu on these fools again. I also activate in tandem my super ultra triple deluxe jutsu overcharged with 3 exclamation points within parentheses called Bad Enemy AI Programming. I pick up an even better laser rifle, kill more guy, fail lick-pocking this door like a gajillion times.
You know, for a game called Fallout, I don't recall ever falling. Also, falling out of what? You know what there is a lot of in this game, however? Looting. I mean, where is this game located? California or something? It is? Oh.
The enemy now uses their secret jutsu, blocking me from entering this room. Screw it. I'll just continue to the next floor. I decided this floor I'm gonna take a more peaceful, sneaky approach. Oh, you son of a bitch. Prepare to eat. Prepare to eat light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Bozo. Did you guys know laser is an acronym? I didn't. I deftly crossed this area which was heavily booby-trapped, making sure to walk over every single possible trap. Finally, I reach another elevator? Oh great, it's out of service. And the only other area in this floor is blocked by a yellow force field. At this point, I was once again incredibly lost, as I've explored every corner I was able to in this base, and everything I found was a dead end. But after thinking real long and hard for a while, I had a eureka moment.
Oh, I know! I can just search this up! There are 3 solutions on how you can open up these barriers. 1, you blow them up. 2, you use your repair skill, which breaks them. And finally, you can take a radio and bring it to the terminal on the first floor to establish a connection between the two, essentially turning the radio into a switch that can turn the force fields on and off. Duh! Why didn't I think about that one myself? To be fair, this game probably mentioned something about that somewhere and I just didn't see it or missed it or whatever. It's my fault, okay? I'm not blaming the game. I just think it's funny.
I go back to the 3rd floor, take care of yet another guy, try to break this chick out, but she's angry at me for killing the mutant. Seems to be yet another case of Sweden syndrome. I head down to what I hope is the last floor, where I finally reach the lieutenant, which I thought was the final boss. I mean, with such a dramatic death scene, how could I not? Yes, thank you. Wait. No. Yes. What? Damn, busting it down sexual style. I then found out, however, the real final boss was this stupid yellow force field.
Now you may think to yourself,
Oh, but you got the radio, why don't you use it?
you think I'm stupid? You think I'm dumb? The radio stopped working when I got on this floor. Fuck ass.
I really couldn't figure out how to do this because for some reason I couldn't plant an explosive, and I was under the impression that my repair skill was too low to do this because of the message I was getting. The only option that was left apparently was using Mr. Handy, but I kinda killed him because I thought he was an enemy. I didn't quite know what to do at this point, so I just kept spamming the repair skill and hope it'll do something, and... fuck you.
I'm not gonna repeat this rant again. Go watch it in the previous video if you really want to.
I walked up and dissolved all these nerds with the cheese touch and started the self-destruct sequence. I then ran as fast as I could and camped outside the military base as I waited for the time to pass and... the game just ended there. No credit roll, nothing, which confused me. I then realized I'm an idiot and needed to get further away from the base instead of camping right outside it as it fucking exploded. Finally, I go back to the Brotherhood to get my well-deserved praise for my heroic task.
Good. Anything else you need to ask?
You know, I think you wouldn't hurt.
I go back to the Overseer to inform him that I've completed my task, but apparently the Lieutenant wasn't the final boss, even though his theatrics sure made it seem so. Rather, there was someone called the Master that I must take down. In my intense thinking sessions, when I went inside my mind palace while searching for solutions, I kept stumbling upon a location called the Cathedral. Being one of the only locations I never found, I assume that's the best place to look for this Master.
Also, Master? Master of what? Farts? Oh, I thought you were gonna...
This guard tells me the cathedral is somewhere to the south. Luckily, this man actually knows how to give directions because the cathedral is exactly one tile south of here. Thank God. I got scared for a second. Outside and inside the cathedral are a bunch of loonies and fanatics who keep mentioning a man named Morpheus, which is their master, but I don't know if he is the master. Either way, they tell me he's in the tower at the top of the cathedral. Issue is, the door to the stairs is locked, and I could not picklock it. This time, I'm almost certain this message means I do not meet the requirements to do it. I really don't know why I haven't been leveling lockpicking all this time. I ask around, get sexually harassed again.
Is this what being a woman is like? Damn. I don't want to come across like a woke asshole, but like, dude, women have it hard. Women have it fucking hard.
I thought maybe if I wear one of these cool purple robes, they would let me go through or something. So I asked this one guy if I could buy it off him, but he said no. Rude. By the way, guys, just so you know, apparently killing a man in cold blood and then ripping off his clothes is frowned upon here. This is such cult behavior. Y'all should chill. I get out of the cathedral, put on the robe, and come back in acting as nonchalant as possible.
Hey, I'm one of the purple guys. All hail the Master.
What? The shopkeeper got killed? I'm so distraught right now. Man, the shopkeeper was like my favorite guy here. Second favorite guy. First, obviously, being Morpheus. Wait, like the guy from the Matrix? Anyways, so where's your boss? I mean, our boss. Finally, this other purple robe is willing to talk to me, so I try to extract some information out of him. You are a woman and therefore you are always troubled. It is an endemic condition of your breed. Tell me your problem, madam, and I'll resolve it for you. Yikes, that's, yikes. I don't want to come across like a Woke asshole. He gets suspicious of me and kindly tries to rid me of my health condition, which is known by professionals as living, but I rid him of it first. On his body, I found a badge which I now know is a key that I could have used to open Ynor, but I didn't know that back then, so I just reloaded everything and tried taking a different approach. I start searching for another group called the Followers of the Apocalypse, which I recall hearing have a rivalry with the Cathedral people. This place is riddled with just a bunch of NPCs with one of 3 character models. After going back and forth and clicking on every damn NPC, I finally found the right one.
Clearly it's this one. I mean, can't you see how different she is from all the others? She's standing in place.
Nicole here tells me that the children of the Cathedral, that's the name of the cult, are a weird bunch, and even though they present as these peaceful, loving people, something stinks underneath. Because of that, they sent a mole to dig up dirt on them. She tells me to talk to Laura in the Cathedral. She'll be able to help me. So I go back and find Laura. She opens up the door for me and tells me that there is a secret passage in the basement. To get to it, I gotta get the key off of Morpheus. On the way upstairs, I had to take care of some cockroaches. I get upstairs and kindly ask Morpheus for the keys, and then go to the secret passage downstairs which Laura told me about, making sure to act super cool while passing another rope here, giving him the old white guy special. I go through the complex and find on the final floor a door that clearly leads to what I assume to be the Master's room. But before that, I explored a bit, and man am I glad I did. As I found this guy who, when telling him I have information to give the Master, he told me this: "Beware the corridor, I assume you have your protection in place."
Am I gonna fuck the Master?
Turns out that the corridor leading to the Master has some curse or something on it that reduces certain skills if you don't have a nullifier on you. One floor above, there are a bunch of what they call brain drains. I talked to Gideon, one of these brain drains, and according to him, they put psychics like him in the walls of the corridor to protect the Master. That's not very nice. Honestly, I'm not sure what's going on. All I care about is that I got the nullifier and I'm able to pass without suffering any debuff. Finally, with everything prepared, I take a deep breath, put on my protection, and go to face the Master.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
Okay, I gotta say, this guy's design is pretty fucking cool. I dig it.
He starts talking about the Master Race and Unity or whatever.
Master race.
Master!
One able to survive, or even
Thrive.
in the wasteland.
I tell him to shut up already and get on with the fight. I don't have time to waste. I got Pilates at 5.
And on my first try, I absolutely decimated him within seconds. Wait, no. Sorry, it was the other way around.
It took me quite a while to kill this thing, not because they're particularly hard, but because they kept spawning a shitload of goons. Every turn, a new one spawns, up until reaching the maximum spawn of 12. Then you can finally kill this so-called Master in peace. So in theory, all you gotta do is camp out behind a pillar so the Master can't get you and just pick the mutants off one by one. Issue is that I simply was not able to keep up. I kept missing and getting unlucky. For this to work, I needed to, at minimum, kill one every 2 turns so that I never have more than 1 mutant on my ass at a time. But even then, I could get unlucky by taking a crit in the ass.
This method wasn't gonna work. It depended way too much on luck, and I was running out of patience. I decided to look around to see if I could find something in this facility that could help me out, and in this room I found exactly that. It seems these developers for once thought it would be nice to hold you by the foreskin for like a second. Issue is, however, that when I'm in this disguise, my carrying capacity is at its max. The only way I could bring it up is if I put on my power suit. But I get the feeling that Hunchback Harry over here wouldn't be particularly fond of that.
Luckily, I found that he does a brisk walk whenever the map is loaded. So by going up the elevator and back down, I get a couple of minutes where he's outside the room, and a couple of minutes is all I needed. So I go into the room, quickly change armor, take all the materials I needed, change back, and go on as if nothing ever happened. A bit tedious, but whatever. I go back to fight him, and this time I take some chems, which buff a bunch of my stats, but their impact was underwhelming to say the least. So, back to the drawing board.
These fuckers kept taking me down with their stupid-ass Gatling gun. Frankly, if I could use it, I would absolutely mop the floor with them, but I can't because I don't have any points in the heavy gun category, so I'm afraid it's gonna be useless. Unless it's a laser gun. Shit, is it a laser gun? It's a fucking laser gun, isn't it?
All this time I've been avoiding the best weapon in this game just because I didn't realize I can even use it. Fuck me. Someone around here is bound to have one, so I look around and bingo. Right below the barracks there is a room with two dudes just chilling. One of them with a Gatling laser.
Hey, what up, homies? So, this may be a bit unchill of me, but I kinda gotta kill you guys. Y'all cool with that?
There's also this, bomb, which I could activate and run away, but after nearly 18 hours of the game, I want to finish it off in a cool, non-pussy kind of way.
Anyways, I get the Gatling laser, I go back, and finally, I am able to do this.
Son of a fucking bitch, are you kidding me? Oh my god. Okay, so I got unlucky once, but the next try, everything went perfectly. I used the tactic of kill guy, hit master, hide, heal, reload, repeat. With this tactic, I was finally able to kill every one of these fuckers. And finally, it was silent. No more boogermen shooting me down, turning me into mist. It was just me, this atrocity, and a couple of hits later, we were done.
That's it? You could really learn a thing or two about dramatic deaths from the lieutenant.
The clock starts ticking, I start running, and this time I knew better than to stay near an exploding building.
This game does something pretty cool. The ending sequence is made up of all the outcomes of the various subplots in the game. For example, since I chose to fix the water pump in Necropolis, I get the good ending in Necropolis.
The ghouls of Necropolis learn how to maintain the repaired water pump, and eventually rediscover many lost secrets of engineering.
But in the hub, because I didn't pursue any of the content there, I got the bad hub ending.
The hub disperses before the might of the mutant army, and will never recover.
Pretty neat.
I go back to the Overseer to tell him I've done it. I've saved our people and by extension, the entire region. Mostly. Finally, I get the praise that I deserve after all this hard—
You have to leave.
Okay, man, I'm getting mixed messages here. I don't get it.
And so, the game ends with you walking off into the wasteland once more, as the Overseer of Vault 13 thought you to be a hero, but for that very reason, he also thought you'd be a bad influence on the others, who will, in your presence, be motivated to leave the vault and change the world. Can't have that happening.
My girlfriend and her sister spent around a day and a half working on this robe over here, and when they heard that it's only gonna appear for like 30 seconds in the video, they reasonably got upset. So if you were wondering why I'm over here sitting in this robe that's making me sweat my balls off, there's your answer. So what's my verdict on this game? Well, all things considered, I really enjoyed it, and I am looking forward quite a bit to playing the next ones. The game isn't perfect, and at times really drove me up the wall, but I feel like that's just part of the charm, you know? I would definitely recommend you give it a try. I do plan on continuing this series and playing Fallout 2, Fallout New Vegas, perhaps some of the more popular mods, and I know this may be controversial, especially with the hardcore Fallout crowd, but I might even try the Bethesda games to see what they're about. I don't know when they'll happen, however, as these past two videos took me a lot more work than I expected them to take me. It was around 18 hours of gameplay footage that I had to sift through, and the script was overall like 11,000 words. It is much bigger than anything I've had to do before, and since I'm still all new to this, it was kind of hard. But nevertheless, I will make sure that it will come sooner than later. I just can't say exactly when. So stay tuned if that's something you think you'd be interested in. And if you appreciated these past two videos, I'd greatly appreciate if you tickle those little buttons down below. Thank you for watching. Love you. Why did I say that?